I'm Jay from the Kubz Scouts. Welcome back to another episode of watching scary animations with you guys. I read the comments all the time. A lot of you guys like the animations that I'm watching, but a lot of you recommend me to react to a channel called Snarled, and we're gonna do that in today's episode. If you guys want to see their full library of videos, check them out in the description box below. But no more talking, we got some animations to watch, so if you guys cool with that, you down with that, everybody get ready and buckle up, cause here we go! First video is called Ghost Guide. Watch out for the Kubz Scouts. Who's talking about coochie? You know what I'm saying? Alright, let's start this up. Wait, chapter 2? I didn't even know there was a chapter 1.
During the Japanese Heian period, around 1,000 years ago, a samurai was married to a beautiful woman.
She ain't that beautiful.
She was the object of everyone's affection, and she knew it. She would walk around town and ask those who stared, "Am I pretty?"
Girl,
the samurai was
like
not happy with the attention she was eliciting, and when he discovered she was being unfaithful, he wanted her to pay.
Ooh, and the life.
One day, armed with a knife, he attacked her. He pressed the blade into her cheek and slit her mouth, leaving her with a bloody, twisted grin.
Who will think you're beautiful now?
Soon after, she died and returned to Earth as an angry spirit named Kubz Onna, the slit-mouthed woman. In the late 1970s, a countrywide panic broke out after numerous people claimed to have encountered Kubz Onna. More police officers were assigned to night duty. Students were required to walk home in pairs after school. People took extra precautions to avoid this vengeful spirit, because any encounter would be deadly. If you are walking alone, she will appear around a corner, wearing a trench coat and a surgical mask.
Wait, where the hell did she get that trench coat?
Her attire would not seem out of the ordinary, since it was common for people to wear such masks to prevent the spread of germs.
Yeah, for sure.
You will assume she is just an ordinary woman. Then, she will approach you and ask, "Am I pretty?" If you say, "No," she will pull out her long pair of scissors and kill you on the spot.
You'd kill a kid like that?
Yes. She will bring her face closer and peel back her mask to reveal her disfigured mouth. "Am I pretty now?" No matter how you respond afterwards, your fate will remain the same. However, a few school children discovered a way to trick Kubz Onna.
Okay, listen up, young whippersnappers.
When she asked her question, responding with an ambiguous "so-so" would confuse her long enough for you to
Hey, you so ugly. You so hideous. And then run.
Your luck? Beware the wrath of Kubz Onna.
Alright, so that was the Kubz Onna. She is the slit-mouthed woman, and that's how you know how to trick her. Next video of today's episode is called The Elevator Game Ritual Elisa Lam. And I've heard that name before because I saw the video of what it was, and it freaked me out for days. For days and nights and nights and days and afternoons.
Shut the fuck up!
But for the people who have never seen or heard about it before, prepare your butt cheeks, because it's actually really scary.
We live in the age of information. Answers to everything and anything are available to us in an instant. And yet, there are still so many things in this universe that cannot be explained.
Sometimes those are the best things.
I'll be sharing the most puzzling, creepiest, unexplainable events that really happened.
Oh, this Elisa Lam thing is very freaky, guys.
Paranormal experiences. Our first story is
I already don't want to see it.
Who checked into the Cecil Hotel and never checked out. The Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles has been around since 1927, and since its doors have opened, it has had a very dark history. At one point, it housed famed serial killer Richard Ramirez, who murdered his victims in his hotel room.
What?
There have also been numerous incidents of guests jumping out windows and other unsolved deaths, just like the one I'm about to tell you.
Oh no,
girl. In
girl.
January of 2013, a young woman named Elisa Lam flew to Los Angeles.
I don't like this bass. It's like tickling the bottom of my screw.
The Cecil Hotel. She was first placed in a hostel-style room, which she shared with another guest. But after 2 days, the front desk got a call.
"Hi, I'd like to make a complaint. The woman I'm sharing a room with is acting very odd. I don't feel comfortable."
I'm uncomfortable right now.
So Elisa was moved to a room of her own, and that was the last time anyone saw her. During her trip,
I'm gonna let
she
you
kept
guys
in
know
frequent
that it
touch
is
with her
12:30 in the
parents
morning
back
right
home.
now.
But when they didn't hear from her when
I'm
she
so
was supposed
freaked
to be
out.
leaving Los Angeles, they became worried and called the LAPD. Around the same time, the front desk kept getting more complaints.
The water pressure in the shower is so low. The tap water is all black.
Ugh!
So a hotel staff member went up on the roof to inspect the water tanks. He noticed that one of them was open.
Oh my
He looked
God.
inside, and that's when he found Elisa floating in the tank. To this day, nobody knows how she got in there undetected. But there are a lot of theories. See, Elisa had bipolar disorder and depression.
My hands are
and
sweating,
was on
guys.
prescription medication to help keep her
Yikes.
in balance. She kept a blog where she wrote about her struggles with her illness and seemed to be very open about it. The most logical conclusion is that Elisa was off her medication, broke from reality, and drowned herself in the water tank. Another theory
Maybe.
is that she was playing the elevator game. The elevator game is a ritual that originated on a Korean website. When performed properly, you can supposedly be transported to another dimension.
Guys, I'm like, I feel like I shouldn't be watching this, you know? Like sometimes you watch something and then you feel like you shouldn't be watching it because you feel like there's gonna be a curse on you or some shit. So if you guys are watching it too, does that mean we are all in on the curse? I have no idea, but I'm gonna play it again. Whew, okay, come on, Jay, come on. Whew, it's muy caliente in here.
In order to play, you need a building that has at least 10 levels. It's best played at night since you need to be completely alone. You enter the elevator and go to different floors in a particular order. Once you reach the 5th floor, a woman will get on with you.
What's the order
Whatever
that you
do,
go on the floors?
Don't look at her or speak to her. She isn't human.
Oh,
When
okay.
you reach the 10th floor, you exit the elevator and enter a new dimension. You will still be in the hotel, but only you exist. Be careful. In this dimension,
Fuck that.
your cell phone won't work, and you may feel disoriented.
Oh, fuck
and
that.
even faint. If you wake up without taking the proper steps to come back to our world, strange things may happen. So what does the elevator game have to do with Elisa Lam? After news spread of her bizarre death, a surveillance video from one of the
don't show
hotel
it, don't show
elevators
it,
went
don't show it.
viral.
Oh
It showed
God!
Elisa acting very oddly in an elevator, pressing random
I
buttons,
hate camera
talking
footage like
to
this,
seemingly
bro.
nobody. Was she playing the elevator game? The Cecil Hotel has since rebranded itself to Stay on Main.
Fuck
They
me,
can change their
senpapi.
signs, but they can never change what happened within its walls. So, what do you think happened to Elisa? Is there a reasonable explanation, or did something more paranormal occur? Let me know in the comments.
Okay, I guess the most reasonable explanation would be that she was off her medication. Like, I really don't know anything about her. I just know about the story that she was on the elevator, and then there was like surveillance footage of her acting weird. She got off, and then the next thing that they found out was that she was in the water tank and decomposing in there. So let me check some of the comments. I'm actually very uncomfortable right now. I'm very uncomfortable right now. This person said, fun fact, on Elisa's blog, she had mentioned that she had felt like someone or something was watching her. The night she went missing, she had said on her blog that she was going out and that she hoped no one followed her. My theory was that Elisa saw whoever it was and tried to confuse them and get away by hiding in the elevator, going to random floors, etc. No idea who she was talking to though. Maybe trying to ask someone to come into the elevator with her so she was safer. It did look like she was beckoning somebody. It did. Like when she was going like that. I don't even want to recreate that. This person said, wait, Elisa seemed to be talking to someone. Maybe she talked to the woman. I'm freaking myself out so much. We're talking about a real woman that died. She isn't a ghost story. She's a real human being. People treat Elisa with respect. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, this was a real thing that happened. This is not like a conspiracy theory or anything. There is actually footage of her doing what she did. Next thing you know, they found her body. That is... Ugh. Next video of today's episode is another pizza delivery horror story. This comes from Llama Arts. Link to their channel will also be in the description box below. But let's see this scary pizza delivery. What's up with these creepy ass people, man? They're always hungry for pizza. Always want some of the pepperoni nipples. They better not want my pepperoni nipples. Because they can't have them.
I was out doing a
You know, they
delivery
can't go.
one late night.
Alright, let me shut up.
It was probably the longest drive I'd have ever taken for a pizza delivery.
Oh,
From
quit
the pizza place I
bitching.
worked at, it was a 20-minute drive, which isn't
Oh,
too
Mario's
crazy out
Pizza.
where I live. Plus, they ordered 4 large pies, so I figured it was a party and I would get a much bigger tip. Navigating the dirt roads at night was always annoying, though. I pulled up to the given address.
Oh, I bet he gets all the ladies with
It
that
was
flame
some
on his
old,
car.
sketchy-looking building, literally in the middle of a forest clearing. There were no cars parked anywhere, or any lights on. I put my car in park and called my boss. I asked him to reread the address at least 3 times to make sure I typed it in right, but that checked out. I could tell he was in a really bitchy mood, and he told me to at least knock on the door and check it out. He would normally get mad if we took back 1 pie, but I was afraid of what he would do if I brought back 4.
Oh, he'd kill you and throw you in a ditch.
I was unnerved, but got out anyway and forced myself to the front door of the building.
Attaboy.
There was no doorbell.
Grab those steel
I just
balls.
knocked really hard.
Hello, it's Mario's Pizza.
I heard nothing and didn't really expect to hear anything. I was extremely disappointed, not because nobody answered the door, but because I was realizing that it was all a waste of time and gas. I knocked 1 more time out of desperation.
Hey, open the fuck up! It's pizza time!
And began to hear some kind of rustling noises from inside of the building.
Oh, those are some heavy footsteps.
I knocked again and yelled that I was the pizza guy. There was silence now. I felt a bit more uncomfortable now than before. But before I could turn around, I noticed something at the window. There was someone looking through the window.
Who?
I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman.
Wide-eyed freak!
All I noticed were their eyes. Their eyes were.
Do you want
open
your
wider
pizza
than
or
I knew
not?
Possible.
Open the freaking
Staring
door!
Intently at me. I was disturbed enough by this and dropped the pizzas.
That's
and
gonna
ran
be
back to my car.
$35.99, man. You want it or
The
not?
shitty thing wouldn't start until turning the key for the
Got
third
no
time.
time for these fuckboys.
I drove off the grass and back
Staring at
onto the
people
dirt
and
road.
shit.
But I
Do you
felt
want the
the
damn
car
pizza
rocking
or not?
about, shaking and bumping.
Goodness gracious.
Something wasn't right. I didn't make it far from the building before I started hearing a sharp scraping sound coming from outside. There was so much resistance that I couldn't even drive. The car came to a stop. I got out of the car to check what the hell was wrong. A chill ran up my spine as I began to feel like my heart was constantly skipping beats. My tires had been slashed and had completely fallen off the rim.
He said you didn't
Not
put
just
the
the front,
anchovies.
All 4 tires were slashed. I realized somebody did this when I was knocking on the door to that building. Instead of running, I got back in the car and locked the doors. I
Oh,
was
that
so
sucks
close to that
balls.
building, I could practically see it from where I was, if it weren't for the trees blocking the view. I dialed 911 and explained everything to
This is
the
giving me
operator.
chills.
She told me the cops would be over as soon as possible and that I need to stay hidden.
I was being
I
a
asked
wise
if it
guy
was
earlier,
advisable
but
to
this
stay
is
in the
actually
car or
freaky
run.
deaky.
And she told me it would be best to stay in the car with the door locked.
Yeah.
She asked me to stay on the line with her until the cops arrived. My whole body was shaking. In all directions, there was nothing but dark, seemingly endless forest.
Oh, I can only imagine
I
that.
knew it would take forever for the cops to get there. I was not comfortable with sitting in that car so close to whoever did this. The next part, though, is what utterly destroyed me. It still shakes me to this day, and I hope nobody ever has to experience this kind of fear.
Tell us.
As I was scanning all the windows, making sure nobody was outside, I looked in the rearview mirror, and there was the same person. The same person I saw at that window.
Alien looking ass!
Eyes open wider than ever. I could see now that it was a woman, and I could ever so slightly see a smile begin to spread across her face. I opened my door and full on sprinted into the woods.
With the hands
not
up
caring
too?
How much noise I made. I ran until I was out of breath, which didn't take long, and I hid behind a giant log on the ground. I tried to cover my loud breathing with my hand as I waited and waited for what felt like hours.
Hey, you know what? If I saw that lady, I'm not even gonna lie, guys. I'd get out the car, you know, get my knuckles ready and be like, "What's up, then?" I mean, she was looking a little frail, you know? Her little strap wasn't even over her shoulder. I would've been like, "I got the strap right here."
Until I finally heard sirens in the distance. I gathered up all the stamina I had left to run all the way back in the direction of the dirt road. Eventually, The glowing red and blue lights came into view, and I had never felt better in my life. They were parked in front of my car, investigating with flashlights. I came out yelling at them like a lunatic to help me. I fell to the floor and started to gag, almost throwing up from running so much. They picked me up and began to question me, to which I explained everything to the best of my ability. One of the two cars
Like,
drove
did you
over
steal
to the
4
building,
boxes of
and the two
pizza?
officers began to search the building.
Why are there so many in your car?
They came back with nothing except for a couple of spiky objects. These objects were exactly the same as the ones used to slash my tires. The cops guessed that it was some kind of sick, demented couple, being that I saw the woman, but unfortunately they were never found, and that still kills me to this day. I obviously quit my job right after that and started working at a
Fractal
local grocery
Jacks.
store. I know
That sounds painful.
I'll never forget seeing that woman at the back of my car.
I feel like the police should have arrested him for having that ugly ass design on his car.
Hey, I'm Sapphire. Want to hear something scary?
Yeah, let's do it. Hit me with it, baby. Come on. Give me something scary. Chapter 4, Hachishaku.
You've heard of the Slender Man, but have you heard of the tall, slender woman? This next chapter is a Japanese urban legend called Hachishaku-sama, which means
Hachishaku-sama.
8 feet
There you
tall.
go.
My
8 feet tall?
grandparents lived in a
God
small
damn.
village in Japan.
She could
Every
dunk while
summer,
standing.
My parents would take me there on holiday to visit them. The last time I saw them was the summer when I was 8 years old. My grandparents were inside the house and I was playing by myself outside in the backyard. I heard a strange sound. I didn't know what it was and it was hard to figure out where it was coming from. I was looking around, searching for the source of the noise, when I noticed something on top of the tall hedges that enclosed the backyard. It was a straw hat. It wasn't resting on the hedge, it was behind it. That's where the sound was coming from. Then the hat began to move. It stopped at a small gap in the hedge and I could see a face peering
Oh
through.
my goodness.
It was a woman, but the hedges were high, almost 8 feet tall. I was surprised at how tall the woman was.
She was like, tall
I
ass
wondered
bitch.
if she was wearing stilts or some sort of huge high-heeled shoes. Then, a split second later, she walked off and the strange noise disappeared with her, fading into the distance. Confused, I got up and ran back into the house. My grandparents were in the kitchen drinking tea. I sat down at the table and told my grandparents what I had seen. They weren't really paying attention to me until I mentioned that distinctive sound. They both froze. Grandma's eyes grew wide and she covered her mouth with her hand. Grandpa's face became very serious and he grabbed me by the arm. "This is very important," he said, very intensely. "How tall was she?"
He act like she has a ruler and she's like, she was approximately 7.9 feet tall.
As tall as the garden hedge? Where was she standing? When did this happen? What did you do? Did she see you? I tried to answer all his questions as best as I could. He rushed out to the hallway and made a phone call. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but after he hung up, he walked out the door. "Grandma,
I feel like the fact that
What's
this is
going
all in
on?
black and white makes it way
there's
scarier.
something dangerous abducting children
Plus the
in this
sounds.
area," she
Ooh.
said.
The sounds.
We call it
Ugh.
Hachishaku-sama. It
Okay.
takes on the appearance of an extremely tall woman and says,
Ugh.
in a deep voice. A
God.
long time ago, it was captured by monks and they managed to confine it in a ruined building on the outskirts of the village. They trapped it using 4 jizo, small religious statues that they placed at the north, south, east, and west of the ruins so that it could not escape. But somehow,
This is making me
it did.
so uncomfortable
the last
right now.
time it appeared was 15 years ago.
Like,
My
I feel like
grandmother
something's
said that
watching me
anyone
right
who
now.
saw it was destined to die within a few days. It all sounded so crazy. I wasn't sure what to believe. Just then, my grandpa came back, but with an old woman who called herself Keisan. They took me upstairs to my bedroom and began covering the windows with newspaper, with ancient runes written all over them. Keisan placed small bowls of salt in all 4 corners of the room and a small Buddha figure in the center.
Soon the sun will be setting, so listen carefully. You must stay in this room until 7:30 tomorrow morning. Do not open this door for any reason.
She placed a bucket in my hand.
Okay.
Not even to use the restroom.
My grandparents and Keisan
So she had to
left the
piss in that
room,
bucket? Piss
I
and
locked
shit?
the door after them. I couldn't believe what was happening. Was I really going to die in a few days? I turned on the TV to try to take my mind off everything and eventually fell asleep. I was awakened around 1 a.m. by a tapping sound on the window.
It was the Hachi Shaka
Probably
Shuma.
just a tree or something, I told myself. Then came a knock on the door, and I heard my grandpa's voice. Are you okay in there? If you're scared, I can come.
No, it's the Hachi Shaka Shuma.
Hearing his voice was such a relief.
It was like
that without
a
thinking, I
mimic.
rushed over to the door, but something didn't feel right. I looked at the bowls of salt in the room. All 4 of them had turned black. And then I heard the sound again. The tapping on the window continued. I knelt in front of the Buddha and began to pray. I was so terrified and caught up in my chanting that
God, my
I
nipples
didn't
are so
realize
hard.
the sounds had stopped.
They could cut
checked my
slices of
watch.
meat right now.
It was
They could slice
7:30
my
a.m.
meat.
Carefully, I opened the door and ran to my grandparents. We all got in a van and headed straight for the airport. Apparently, there were others who had escaped the grasp of Hachisaku-sama as long as they never stepped foot in Japan again. So 2 years ago, when my grandpa got sick, he refused to let me visit him. He even left strict instructions in his will to not let me attend his funeral. I couldn't believe that this creature prevented me from saying goodbye to him.
Imagine, guys, if she went back to Japan and she vlogged her whole experience there and she actually caught the Hashimaka Shuma on tape.
So when my grandma called a few days ago to tell me she had been diagnosed with cancer, I wasn't gonna let her stop me from visiting. It's been 10 years, Grandma, and
Okay,
nothing
so
has
she
happened
did go
to me.
back.
We don't even know if this thing is real.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let it stop me from seeing you.
If you say so, dear.
I love you, Grandma. I'll see you soon.
Oh. Oh no.
Like this video if it gave you the
Dude,
chills.
you can't
And
do
don't forget
that!
to subscribe to Snarled and our sister
You
channels.
can't do that.
Hissy
She
Fit
can't
and
do
Slay
that.
Tricks. If you or anyone you know have any
Oh no, that's not right. You have to have like the continuation. Like what happened when you went to Japan? Did you hear the haze? Did you hear the hey hey? Like you gotta tell us. Alright guys, but that's gonna do it for this episode of watching scary animations. The ones from Snarled really got under my skin. Like those were actually really creepy. I'm very paranoid right now. Like I keep looking into the viewfinder, making sure that I don't see anything that I shouldn't see or I don't want to see or that shouldn't be there. All the channels of the videos I watched in this episode are gonna be in the description box below. But if you want to see more of this series, make sure you guys give this video one big fat like. And tell a friend today that Jay from the Kubz Scouts is that dude!